will take, how long would it take to have the same feelings I have for my real daughters for these actors?
The television show Last Man Standing was quite spectacular when it first started, gaining the attention of thousands of viewers during the course of its run. Many of the viewers were quite taken by the on-screen chemistry that the actors had on screen, which didn't later work in favor of the show. Along the line, the show faced some challenges, which resulted in some of the original actors being less active, which led to a drop in viewership, leading to the plug eventually being pulled on the show. The question now is, what really caused the exit of some of these original actors? Let's find out. Last Man Standing is a situation comedy that hit the small screen on October 11, 2011, grabbing viewers' attention by being pretty funny with snappy dialogues and rehashed perspectives regarding family. It was created by writer-producer Jack Burdett, who is an accomplished person in his line of work and has had enough hands-on experience on such hit TV comedies as 30 Rock and Frasier. With Burdett known for quick-witted, relatable characters and combining comedy with social commentary, it would seem the show was off on good ground. It originally aired on ABC with a star-studded cast. Cast for the title role was comedian Tim Allen, who rose to fame playing Tim Taylor on the 1990s sitcom Home Improvement, here playing Mike Baxter, marketing director for a Denver-based outdoor sporting goods store called Outdoor Man. Allen was hilarious, bringing his peculiar comedic charm, much like his previous work but with a new twist. He was a family man, set in a world that was too foreign and different from his traditional values. Rounding out the cast with Tim Allen is Nancy Travis as Vanessa Baxter, Mike's smart-loving wife, first a geologist and later a school teacher. Travis brought a depth and warmth to the character that really complemented Allen's bold and at times brash take as Mike. The two simply worked well together on screen, which lent an air of reality and likability to their portrayals. Rounding out the Baxter family are their 3 daughters, each of whom brought something different and unique to the table. Alexandra Krosny did the role in the beginning, as the eldest daughter who happened to be a single mom in the very midst of trying to combine both responsibility and being able to still try doing one's dream. Molly Ephraim played middle daughter Mandy Baxter, and her timing in comedy and ways of playing out the perfect dosage of naivety against ambition made Mandy one of the fan favorites. Rounding out the trio was Caitlin Dever as the youngest daughter Eve Baxter. Dever brings a fresh modernity and a lot of earthiness to the family dynamic. One of the compelling elements of Last Man Standing was its tendency to use the comedic lens to address pressing contemporary social and political issues. This is often facilitated through the main character Mike Baxter, who became a mouthpiece for traditional conservative values, juxtaposed against the more progressive outlooks represented by other characters in the show, including his wife and daughters. This created some pretty interesting and sometimes hilarious debates within the show, giving viewers an insider's look into how modern family life works. The ability to address divisive topics with humor and respect made Last Man Standing stand apart from many sitcoms of its time and appeal to a broad audience. The setting of the show also played a great role in its appeal. Outdoor Man, where Mike worked selling sporting goods, was more than a place of employment. It was almost a wellspring from which much of the show's humor and storytelling flowed. The store itself featured characters like Mike's boss Ed Alzei, played by Hector Elizondo, and his co-worker Kyle Anderson, played by Christoph Sanders. Ed's quirks, wisdom, mentorship, and friendship toward Mike, combined with Kyle's sweet-natured obliviousness, are great for endless laughs and a heartwarming juxtaposition to the often sarcastic show themes. However, what really made Last Man Standing stand apart at its premiere was how it merged humor and heartwarming scenarios. The Baxter family was very genuine in the sense that most moments really reflected love, understanding, and compromise amidst opinions and differences. Of course, these themes found a place among audiences who could reflect upon their lives through the dilemmas of the Baxters. Not to mention, the usage of vlogs as a narrative device was so original in this show. Mike Baxter created video blogs for the website Outdoor Man, talking about anything from his family life to the issues going on in society. These vlogs gave great insight into Mike's character and also gave the show an outlet for its humor and commentary. These monologues, however, as delivered by Tim Allen, were engagingly hilarious and finally sealed his character as the backbone of the series. Last Man Standing was one of the only shows to maintain multi-generational appeal. Younger viewers related to the struggles and aspirations of the Baxter daughters. Last Man Standing gathered decent ratings in at least some seasons and earned itself a very loyal set of viewers. There was humor and relatability without ever going over the edge into being too serious. The chemistry amongst the cast brought a sense of realism to the audience as well, making it a reflection of the ups and downs that go on within a family. The first run of Last Man Standing really showed that serious issues could be taken by a sitcom and made funny without the laughs or warmth being sacrificed. Such is its unique blend of humor, real characters, and incisive social commentary that made it stand out among other series. The series was outstanding, making a mark in the minds of its viewers. With such an ensemble cast, witty writing, and the ability to deal with issues, Last Man Standing carved its niche in the world of TV comedy. However, in 2017, Last Man Standing faced a serious issue when, despite its good ratings and viewership, ABC pulled it off the air after 6 successful seasons. The move came as a surprise to both fans and the media, since during all its years on the air, the show had been ranking as one of ABC's top comedies and really hit its stride with a devoted fan base. The network's call to cancel the popular show sparked speculation from all corners, with many pointing at underlying political reasons for such cause. When news of its cancellation broke, Last Man Standing had become known not just for humor, but also for the peculiar way in which it presented political and social issues, more often than not presenting conservative views. As the straight-ticket Republican, Mike's character often used the vlogs for Outdoor Man to humorously express his conservative political views. These vlogs, as well as storylines at times dealing with more modern issues, have shown conservative values that often clash with the more liberal characters. Speculation went wide that period, with some thinking it was because the show had been tagged as being too conservative due to Tim Allen's outspoken nature about politics. It even seemed like Tim Allen was promoting conservative ideologies on live television and was one of the attendees at the inauguration of President Donald Trump this January 2017. This may be the reason why ABC was probably not comfortable airing a show overtly embracing such right-leaning ideas. ABC, though, denied that it had anything to do with politics in canceling the show. The network cited programming changes and the financial woes of producing Last Man Standing. Specifically, the show was produced by 20th Century Fox Television, which for ABC meant having to pay a licensing fee to air the program. With a 7th season in the wings, the network said it no longer could afford to continue the series, particularly as it looked to focus more on producing content in-house. Although this was a pragmatic explanation, for many of its adherents, the discontinuation came as a political act of sabotage. Hundreds of thousands of fans signed an online petition asking for renewal after several weeks of its being taken off the air. Outraged, fans took to social media to express anger in arguments that ABC axed the show for being one of the few representations of conservative views. Star Tim Allen said that he never saw it coming. The controversy over its cancellation only raised the profile of the show, making it a kind of flashpoint for the ongoing debates about politics and representation in media. Later on, Last Man Standing found an unlikely ally in Fox Studio, which was producing the show for ABC. In May 2018, Fox announced a 7th season to revive the sitcom, as it was among the most watched and highly wanted shows by viewers. The network chief admitted they had been sensitive to the feedback from the audience from the moment it had been axed, and saw how they could milk its enduring appeal. The moment Fox made this announcement, this decision was hailed as a success story not only by the cast and crew, but even more by the fans of this series. It returned on September 28, 2018, with very eager fans in anticipation. When the show returned, we had Tim Allen playing Mike Baxter, Nancy Travis as Vanessa Baxter, Amanda Fuller playing Kristen Baxter, and Christoph Sanders playing Kyle Anderson. Their presence helped keep the familiar tone and dynamic of the show in place, ensuring it felt like a continued show and not a reboot. However, there were some key changes in store for its revival. Molly Ephraim did not continue as Mandy Baxter for this season. Her absence highly affected her character in the series, as her previous appearance seemed to be the epitome of humor, with lots of comedy streaks with good taste in fashion. The cast later added Molly McCook to fill the role of Mandy. McCook brought new life into Mandy, and as much as many fans tried getting used to it, they didn't get that former magic that came with the character. Yet another departure was Flynn Morrison, who played Boyd Baxter, Mike and Vanessa's grandson, in the earlier seasons. Like Ephraim, he did not return for the revival, and his role was taken over by Jet Juergensmeyer as Boyd. While these cast changes did break the mold from the original cast lineup, it did retain much of its core spirit and humor for the fans. As the show stayed on Fox, other stars started to scale back their involvement with the series. Caitlin Dever, who played Eve Baxter, severely reduced her appearances throughout the latter half of the series. During one of the show's earlier hiatuses, Dever picked up starring roles in some critically acclaimed shows like Booksmart and Unbelievable, which launched her to leading lady status. Meanwhile, Dever would continue making guest appearances as Eve, but her reduced appearance caused a shift in the dynamics that had brought together the family originally. Despite the reduced charm, the revival of Last Man Standing was successful, with good ratings and staying a popular sitcom. The resiliency of this show, from the ability to adapt through cast transitions to sticking true to core themes and humor, had finally begun to shine. The revival also kept building its reputation as a series that really crossed divides of political and generational spectrums. The axing of Last Man Standing in 2017 was among the most polarizing in recent television history, with political undertones and outcry from its fans defining the narrative. Although ABC eventually explained that they ended the series due to financial considerations, the conservative leanings of the show and outspoken views of Tim Allen fed into speculation about possible political motives. The 2018 revival on Fox was a phenomenal twist of fate and really a reward for the loyalty of the fans. Amid the many setbacks, the show still managed to retain some of its charm. However, the revival of Last Man Standing in 2018 was highly celebrated. It seemed to fail at recapturing some of that attention and energy from when the series aired on ABC. The mere fact that it returned on Fox was already a victory for fans who have fought to get it back on the air, but overall reception was hampered in a few ways. That magic that was so palpable during the original run was much harder to grasp this time around, and some of the absent cast members left noticeable voids that longtime viewers weren't too thrilled about. One of the main reasons this revival didn't click as well was because it lacked the novelty and freshness of the original series. When Last Man Standing originally premiered in 2011, it was popular as a sitcom that dealt with social and political issues from a comedic conservative perspective, which few network sitcoms did at the time. But when it returned, something changed, and viewers had become more accustomed to outwardly politically tinged entertainment. The cast changes made the humor and themes no longer hit the cultural landscape in the same way. Some did feel the tone of the show had subtly changed in the revival, which made the viewing experience a little different. While the original run had balanced its comedy with touching family moments and engaging character arcs, many viewers felt that the more revived seasons leaned heavily into topical humor and politicizing. Whereas this had always been a part of the show, the revival made it feel less like the family-centric sitcom one had fallen in love with, and more like a vehicle for commentary, given the greater notice these elements received. This change alienated some viewers who appreciated the balance of humor and heart that was on display in its earlier episodes. A number of key cast departures also served to flatten enthusiasm for this revival. Chief among these, arguably, was the loss of Molly Ephraim, who'd played Mandy Baxter. The humor and vibrance she brought into the character made her one of the highlights of the show in its original run. Viewers enjoyed Mandy's peculiar, egocentric antics, while Ephraim's chemistry with the rest of the cast added depth to the Baxter family dynamic. So when Molly McCook joined the role in its revival, she had her take on Mandy, but many viewers didn't find the connection they were looking for. Many believed her version was so earnest, lacking the real playfulness that Ephraim had imbued into the character. Well, the recasting of a character usually presents mixed emotions amongst the fans. Some had their favorite aspect about the show totally changed, and it saddened them. Also, the absence of the role played by Flynn Morrison, Boyd Baxter, and the reduction in the appearance of Caitlin Dever, who played the character Eve Baxter, further altered how things went in the show. After all, Boyd had been a central cast member in many storylines as Kristen's son and Mike's grandson during the show's original run. The revival saw Jet Juergensmeyer take over the role, but his presence in the series was significantly reduced. That means one of the biggest things missing is the dynamic between Boyd and the rest of the family. Meanwhile, Eve's character had been a bright spark throughout the original series, played by Caitlin Dever as a tomboy with a knack for getting funny one-liners across. Eve brought nuance into the Baxter family setup, often opposing yet sharing sibling bonds with her sisters. This became so because Dever's rising star in Hollywood meant she could only pop up in this revival sporadically, leaving a palpable gap in this show. Setting aside this whole cast change challenge, the biggest problem this revival was facing related to trying to survive in an extremely competitive TV space. When it originally aired on ABC, this was a niche targeted at a wide audience looking for something light yet pertinent. By the time it returned on Fox, Netflix and Hulu-like streaming platforms were far more prominent, affording viewers many more options to look at. Among this sea of excellent sitcoms and dramas, Last Man Standing just couldn't stand out more, given that the format and the humor felt a little traditional against innovative storytelling across newer shows. All these put together resulted in less viewing experience for lovers of the original series. Many were happy to see the Baxter family and praised how well Tim Allen still portrayed Mike, but the show didn't feel as exciting or emotionally deep. For some, this revival lacked the warmth and cohesion found in the original run. Besides the absence of some of the cast members, the change in tone really made one somewhat nostalgic for the earlier seasons rather than full-on excited about the new episodes. Consequently, in May of 2021, the show aired its last episode after having 9 seasons. Despite the difficulties, the revival wasn't without its triumphs. It did retain an extremely loyal audience, and many fans were grateful that the show continued to address contemporary issues in a comedic style. Tim Allen as Mike Baxter still kept intact the center core of the show, and his interactions with Ed Alzate, played by Hector Elizondo, and Kyle Anderson, played by Christoph Sanders, made every scene hilarious and fun with a touch reminiscent of the series in its earlier years. It was also wonderful to see Nancy Travis as Vanessa Baxter. She infused a natural, earthy tone in this sitcom. In retrospect, it's clear that the revival of Last Man Standing was both a blessing and a burden. It was proof of fan loyalty, yet at the same time showed just how tough it is to continue the original run with missing key cast and elements that help define the series. And there you have it. Let us know one of your fond memories of the show in the comments, and we will see you in the next one.